Here in the United States, where the Democrats will today begin efforts to force a vote in the U.S. Senate on Wednesday. They want to pass a national abortion rights law in an 11th hour bid to protect a woman's right to choose as it faces threatened assault by the U.S. Supreme Court. The process on Capitol Hill is doomed to fail, even though last week a leaked draft decision signalled that the US top court is preparing to overturn Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 ruling that has kept abortion legal from coast to coast. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called the leaked draft an abomination. He said he would force a Senate vote on enshrining the protections offered by Roe into federal law. Those protections are threatened by the Conservative majority on the Supreme Court, who now seem set to overturn them.
I tell you that it is too late.
We are here today because we are not going to let a bunch of extreme Supreme Court justices or extreme right-wing politicians take away the rights of 100 million American women. We are fighting the fight to preserve women's rights. So today I'm detailing my plans to hold a vote Wednesday to codify Roe into law. I will file cloture, which moves the bill tomorrow, and we will vote on Wednesday, and every American will see how every senator stands. They can't duck it anymore. The Republicans have tried to duck it.
But Democrats know there is little chance of success this week in the Senate. The blocking power of Republicans will play a key role in the evenly divided 100-seat body. The legislation would need 60 votes to pass, and it isn't going to come close. The vote will nonetheless put lawmakers on record regarding one of the country's most polarizing issues. Republican-controlled states have been taking steps to restrict abortion rights in recent months. And if Roe v. Wade is struck down within the next few weeks, each of America's 50 states would get to make and enforce their own abortion laws. Polling on abortion is complex. A report by the Pew Research Center found that 8 in 10 Democrats support abortion rights in all or most cases. That's more than double the 38% of Republicans who do. But majorities oppose abortion completely in at least 7 southern states, and many Republican-governed jurisdictions are already preparing so-called trigger laws that will snap into force, heavily restricting abortion or outlawing it completely the moment the Supreme Court acts. The southern state of Mississippi will ban abortion except in cases of rape or incest or danger to the life of the mother. The state's Republican governor, Asa Hutchinson, who said he is considering running for the presidency in 2024, said rape and incest exceptions will continue to be part of the debate on abortion. The Arkansas governor also called for directing more resources to maternal health services.
We want to increase the services for maternal health, to increase the services for adoption services as well. And so we want to invest in those areas that will help those women with very difficult circumstances of the pregnancy. But secondly, I think to your point, the rape and incest exceptions will continue to be a part of the debate. Right now, we do not have rape and incest as exceptions under the Arkansas trigger law, but I think that will be a part of the debate.
Just to underscore, Asa Hutchinson is the governor of Arkansas, not Mississippi. According to another Pew Research Center poll, about 61% of Americans believe abortion should remain legal in all or most circumstances. In Washington, D.C., abortion rights supporters continue to gather in front of the Supreme Court building. It is now ringed by a security fence to protect it. They're protesting against the leaked draft opinion. For more, let's go across to WION's correspondent in New York, Susan Tehrani, who joins us now live. Susan, I am struggling a bit to understand the point of this vote in the Senate. I mean, first of all, we know it cannot succeed. There's no prospect of success for Charles Schumer and the Democrats. But secondly, it's not exactly a surprise as to where Republicans stand on abortion. There's not going to be some moment of great revelation here when Republicans oppose the law. So what exactly are Democrats trying to achieve with this move?
Right, exactly. And as you mentioned, Simon, you know, it's very unlikely. Everyone knows that this is not going to get passed at all in Senate. But however, people like Chuck Schumer and Amy Klobuchar think that there will be some sort of success, and this will be a first step to the ballot box for many Americans. But the problem is the Supreme Court is not on the ballot box, and it's very hard to see 6 months down the line whether or not they'll be able to continue to have this gain momentum on abortion. And this vote, albeit failed, will really have that kind of effect that they want on Americans, considering the fact that, as you mentioned, polling is extremely complex. You know, there's a tapestry of opinions on abortion across the United States. And the majority of Americans right now, when polled, inflation, gas prices, crime, those are higher up on their list, even among Democrats, than an issue like abortion. And when it comes to limits on abortion, at least some sort of limits, Amy Klobuchar said that, you know, we're going to get women on our side and the men that support them, and this bill, although it will likely fail, will be a first step to the ballot box. You know, the women will see, you know, who stands where. But the majority of women across the United States, when polled on multiple fronts, blue and red states, women support some sort of limit on abortion. So we'll see whether or not this backfires or not. But I think in a nutshell, they really think that this will be a first step, not only for the issue to continue its momentum after that illegal leak, and then it'll ultimately move on to the ballot box. Whether it'll be a victory for the Democratic Party or not, it's yet to be seen.
Right, but why take this first step now? I mean, if you spin back to the presidencies of Barack Obama or even earlier, Bill Clinton, at various times in their two presidencies, they enjoyed substantial majorities in Congress, and they absolutely would have stood a much better chance of getting a law like this passed then than Joe Biden and Charles Schumer face now. So aren't the Democrats opening themselves up to the accusation that they are trying to slam the stable door shut long after the horses have bolted?
During the Clinton administration, the Democratic Party had a somewhat unified stance on abortion. Their stance basically was abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. It was a sort of centric policy. This was Clinton's policy. It was that's where, you know, we see a lot of sound bites come out from Joe Biden, where now you see him take an extremely progressive stance. Some of it has to do with the changing nature of the Democratic Party. It's gone so far to the left that many, even Democrats, can't really identify with that. That when we come to the Clinton administration, that's, you know, you can talk about that. On the other hand, you know, the issue of Roe from the very beginning was built on shaky grounds at the Supreme Court. It wasn't really, abortion wasn't a constitutional issue, so they had to sort of stick it into privacy laws. You know, that's a whole other conversation, and that's why as Supreme Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg wasn't even comfortable with it. So they really didn't want to touch the issue of abortion. When it came to Barack Obama, he had to struggle with a Republican Party that wasn't really supporting his health care plan. So he had to sort of push back. And even Barack Obama, because he knew that abortion is such a touchy subject in the United States, he started to launch initiatives like the Faith-Based Initiative at the White House, which actually called for the reduction of abortion. He also, in 2010, signed an executive order to ban federal funding for abortion in his health care bill unless for issues like incest or rape or other issues. So you see that even these Democrats, they weren't so far to the left like Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden today as they were. They weren't really comfortable with this conversation. Blame it on the nature of the country at that time, blame it on the political circumstances or not, but they didn't want to touch it, and perhaps they didn't think that they needed to. As one might say, desperate times calls for desperate measures. Perhaps this is a time they think that abortion is the winning ticket right now in the midterms, and that's why they've decided to open up this door, as you mentioned, and see where it goes, because they really don't know what else to run on at this point.
Right, but Republicans, of course, also think it's the winning ticket and think that the Supreme Court's apparent readiness to act is going to energise their supporters just as much as Democrats hope that abortion rights activists will be spurred to back their candidates. Susan Tehrani, live for us on the streets of New York City this morning. Thanks very much indeed.